Welcome to another episode of Swoop's Standouts. Let's just get straight into it. Now, we took on Guana and bet them by 10 points. A fantastic game in the wet. And I think this one it was hard to nail this down to just 5 players. And obviously I do my little standouts that weren't in my top 5 as well towards the end. But this was a really hard game because everyone played their role just brilliantly for the conditions. They played to their conditions. So just picking 5 players was pretty hard. I'll give it my best. As always, we go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's kick it off. So number 5, I've got Steele Sidebottom. He had a very quiet game against Fremantle, only the 7 disposals. But in this game, I thought he did just we went back to the Steele from the start of the year and gained a little bit of momentum. I did notice that he was playing on the wing mostly, and he was just providing that run and getting that territory, especially what you need in the wet. And Steele is one of those players that knows how to play to the conditions. A bunch of tackles, a nice goal as well. 22 disposals, 5 clearances. So sort of what more could you want from your 34-year-old? I thought he just did really well, and it really getting pushed onto the wing really let the likes of like Ned Long, Bo McCreary when he was playing in the centre just change up the dynamic of the game a little bit. So that's why I've got Steele at number 5. Number 4, I've got Jeremy Howe. Now, this was Jeremy Howe's probably his standout performance of the season. 4 intercept marks, 5 marks in general, 8 rebounds from 50. So he was generating that run, but those intercept marks were the most important. He was playing on Taylor Walker for most of the game. When Taylor Walker got subbed off, he nullified. He went on to Fogarty, nullified his presence up forward because Fogarty kicked, a bunch of goals. He also had 4 tackles, 7 pressure acts. So this number 4 spot, it could have also have gone to Billy Frampton. So I'm going to do something that I haven't done and give them both number 4 spots because Billy Frampton, he had 13 1%ers, 10 spoils. Billy Frampton, and I've said this time and time again, Frampton works best where he's just see ball, punch ball, right? Just an old school classic defender. And you got to think that at the start of the year, Frampton obviously wasn't in the team. It was Reef until Reef was injured. But even before that, there was nothing that I saw in the preseason or in the few practice matches that screamed Billy Frampton could take over Reef. Unfortunately, it had to come to Reef getting an injury for Frampton to get into the team. But as soon as he's into that team, no one is going to take him out of that team. And especially with no Darcy Moore, Frampton and Howe really, really, really stood up. And we've seen it now that not that I was going to say we don't need more. It's not that we don't need more. It's just that we can cover more if we don't have him because we play that system defense. But when you've got these guys, taking intercept marks and punching the ball just outside, like there was times where Billy Frampton was punching the ball into the stands. That's what you want to see from your defenders. So that's why they share equal 4th spot. My 3rd standout from the game was Nick Daicos, 28 disposals, a game high 7 clearances, and I said it in my review as well. He just went about his business. It was like a business-like performance for Nick Daicos. Wasn't as flashy as he usually is. I'm still of the notion that he's carrying some sort of injury. He was getting tagged or getting a run with Alex Neil-Bullen as well. So he was sort of trying to quell his influence. But Nick Daicos was doing things that only Nick Daicos can do, was providing that run. But it was those 7 clearances that really set him apart from the rest of the pack. Now, like I said, it was really hard to narrow this down to 5 players only because these top 2 spots could have really gone to a bunch of players. Who I've got as number 2 is Josh Daicos. Josh Daicos had 29 disposals, a game high over 500 meters gained. Now, what I loved from Josh Daicos' performance and what I've been loving about his performances throughout the year is that, yes, he's playing off the halfback line, but we're seeing him push a lot offensively and generating this run, he's had meters gained like in the plus 500s for a lot of the year. And in the wet, that's what you want to see. You want to see gaining that territory, but you don't just want to see, him get the ball and just hack it forward and then just hope for the best. he's using the ball with such precision in the wet. I think it was going at like 75 or over, definitely over 70 in his disposal efficiency. But it's the clearances, it's the tackles, it's the perceived pressure. It's when you get the ball, you know that something is good is going to happen with it. A lot like when Nick gets the ball or when Pendles gets the ball as well. But Josh Daicos doesn't play this role if Harry Perryman's not playing his role off halfback, if Dan Houston isn't playing his role off halfback. So it's not just a Josh Daicos performance, it's the guys around him that make him, allow him to be that better player. Now, my number one performer, my number one standout for the game was our fill-in skipper, Brayden Maynard. I just loved everything about his game and just how he went about it, corralling the defense, the guys in the defense to smash that three-headed monster of Adelaide Crows. And I know in the wet sort of helps, and Kane Corns was like, oh, if they don't kick 12 goals, what are they doing? But it was wet, so even Craig McRae came out and said, Thilthorpe, even though he didn't kick any goals, it was in the west, so you can't really take that away from him. But what Brayden Maynard was able to do, what did he have? He had nearly 600 meters gained, 7 contested possessions. But what I loved the most, he had 15 pressure acts, but 14 of those were in the defensive half, and that was the most on the team. Isaac Quaynor had 11, Ned Long had 12, and it was just good to see after that rest last week, he came out fit and absolutely firing. And that's what you want to see from not only your stand-in skipper, but that's what you want to see from Brayden Maynard, that toughness, that raw edge that he has and that he brings to the team. You just look at him on the final siren. He was loving every second of it. And I don't know, to me, that looks like a player that doesn't want to leave the club. So who else stood out to me that weren't in that top 5? Ned Long and Beau McCreary. It was their day. I said this on my review. A wet day is when these just wombats, and Tom Mitchell is a wombat as well, but these sort of wombats just go about their day and just absolutely smash it. It was a perfect day for him. Ned Long had 9 tackles, 22 pressure acts. Beau McCreary had 6 tackles, 24 pressure acts, and those pressure acts were leading to goals. Ned Long had 3 tackles in like a minute. He gave off 2 score assists. Beau McCreary, towards the end, was it the second quarter where he set up Jamie Elliott after a rundown tackle. And Beau McCreary has been a little bit low for the majority of the season, but he's starting to finally find his feet again. And what I did love, I don't have the centre bounce attendances, but I dare say Beau McCreary's was pretty high, because whenever I was looking there, Beau McCreary was in the middle, so he's adding a midfield element to the game. But I think that's also because it was wet, because it was a dirty game. That's when you want to see Ned Long and Beau McCreary in the middle, especially with no Tom Mitchell there. So I thought they did absolutely well. I could go on and name every single sort of player, because I thought everyone, like I said at the start of the video, I thought everyone played their role to a T, superbly, or most people played it to a T. Jamie Elliott in the forward line, Will Hoskin-Elliott kicking 2, Scott Pendlebury on his return, just doing what Scott Pendlebury does, stopping time and creating opportunities. Brody Marchik's presenting. I loved what Tim Membry is bringing to the forward line, not just in this game, but just for the season. So everybody in the wet, they've gone back to basics. There were times where we were trying to do a little bit too much in the first half, but then we tightened that up at halftime. And then the third and fourth quarter, we just showed that we can play any sort of style of football in any weather condition. Now, the guy that didn't stand out to me the most, and look, I'm only saying this because I always do one of these every single video, every single Swoop standouts, was just Mason Cox's influence. And he got subbed out, fair enough, because it was raining, but this was, he didn't have a good game. I think the wet, it just didn't work out for him. What did he have? Like 4 disposals, a bunch of hitouts. He did link up a little bit, but ultimately, kind of like Thilthorpe, his performance just wasn't good because of the wet. Does he play next week against the Kangaroos? I don't really think so. I think they go Darcy Cameron with Tristan Sherry, and then have someone else sort of hitting in the ruck. Maybe even like a Ned Long, like what Patrick Cripps does, as a sort of second ruckman when we need him, because I do want to see Charlie West. And the only way I can see Charlie West coming into the game is if Mason Cox doesn't play, or if they want to give Tim Membry another rest and leave Mason Cox as that second ruck. But those were my standouts for the game. Let me know your standouts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shaggers, I'll swoop you later.